on the
Yes.
computer.
Very
Ready?
important. These video recordings are lifesavers. Life-saving.
Say as lifesavers. That's definitely what they are.
Hello, future Sergio. Pay attention, please.
Hi, Gabe.
Also,
There
hi,
you go.
Gabe.
Yeah. I think Margie's also watching these now too, by the way.
What's up, Margie?
They both definitely refer to these when teaching their own classes now, so. Definitely feel free to say hi. I'm sure I'll eventually get one of them to be like, hey, I finally heard it. Or they'll out of spite never say anything. Especially now that I'm saying that on video. Hi.
You're all doing great.
They are doing
You
awesome.
totally should trademark the Wheel of Doom.
Trademark the wheel of doom. Definitely. Like I said, I'm wondering if Keith has brought it into the old class to say, hey, Gabe, let's use this. Again, he's probably enjoying the fact that he probably doesn't have to do it anymore. So I shall see. What? Is that Alexa? Travis is now dying. Okay, I wonder what just happened. Did anyone hear like it said something like it's pants or something like that?
I heard something. I don't know what it was.
It was I need my pants.
Oh,
Why?
This is great.
You know,
This is on the recording. Margie,
Why did
Gabe,
Alexa say that?
enjoy. That wasn't Alexa.
What was that?
That was my partner coming in to get her pants
Oh.
to take the dog out.
oh.
That's awesome. Yep, that's on the recording. You can go check it back later and play it for her.
Well, I was cracking up from the recording from last week where in the background there's like a high pitched it repeats what Cliff says, like right after Cliff says it, this like high pitched. I don't know. It was funny though. I was cracking up.
I remember we had that one class where I had just Google was not being nice to me because we were talking about the Google OAuth. So yeah. Start. There we go. Oh, also, can anyone confirm or deny for me if the videos or if the video cameras are still being captured in the recordings?
Yeah, we're still on it.
Ah. All right, I'll have to try to check again this weekend, later this week, to see if I can find a way to turn those off. Definitely don't need them. Yeah. So application, that's not what I wanted. There we are. So again, what we did last time, we can go ahead and log in quick. Go to Cliff 20, test.com, test. Nice and simple. We got it so we can load these down. When I can click on one, I go to a profile page that actually loads that profile. So you can see, look at the profile. And I can even see the data that I'm collecting is friend specific. So we were able to check on that and confirm that for Cliff 11, who I'm not friends with, I see nothing. If I go back a page and head down to Taylor, click on that, you can see that me and Taylor are friends, even though I have trouble saying his name right. I don't know what he sees in me, but we see that Taylor is friends with me right there and Cliff 13. So see Taylor's friends because I'm friends with him. So good stuff there. All good there? Cool. Awesome. The part of me is kind of surprised by this because I'm actually impressed that because this is actually both of them, the fact that I only see the ID of the person that I'm connected with and being Cliff 13, Cliff 20, and I didn't have to do any additional code to pull Taylor's name out of the relationships is really nice. That's got to be a JPA system that's happening because yeah, I didn't tell it to do that. I think, yeah, I didn't tell it to pull the right one. We know that one of these is recipient, one of these is originator, if I remember correctly, because I believe, at least I think that's what it is. And both of these, if I go to 13, I don't know if I'm friends with 13 as well. Nope, who am I friends with? Who's my other friend? I friended someone or had someone friend me. 10? I can't remember who I friended myself with now. Actually, let's go click on my profile. That's why. Let's find out.
Thought it was 7 or 9.
709, you think? Oh, no, I'm right. I'm not technically friends with myself, so I won't see my own friends. Dang it. I don't have a 7 or 9. Oh, well. Another time. You're probably giving me the actual idea of the number of the person, so 12. Yeah. It's fine. Figure that out later. I'm pretty confident that, yeah, Taylor had one that he sent the request one with and one that he got requested. So he has the 2 versions of it. The fact that it shows the unique person is great. So anyway, with that said, what we want to do next is when I click on Taylor, or really not Taylor first, let's go ahead and click on a person I'm not friends with. So on 13, what I want to see here is, as I said before, a little banner right here. Do this quick. Just going to use squares so that way you don't have to do it. You don't need the pencil. So I want to do, instead of profile Cliff 13 test, I want to do a banner here with a placeholder for an image. I want to see Cliff's name here. Probably actually put the cohort here, actually. That might be better. And then we can put underneath the image, over here on the right, add and block. So we have the 2 buttons, add friend and block, where this could also be approve if we're waiting, which we can change that later. Over here, we're going to have the about me. And then over here will be the friends list if we are actually friends. If not, we can just leave that blank for the time being and just keep it over here. Keep that empty space so that things look the same, but just don't show anything here. And we can have this here. If we want, we can even put a text here that says you must be friends to view their list, but whatever. We can just leave this blank and just have the about me here, which again, we'll use lorem ipsum text for that. And we know later on, we will add a geek out system down here that'll be scrollable. Sound good? That's what we're expecting to do, right? All right, cool. So let's do that. Clear drawing, get my annotation thing, pop back. So go back to our profile. Scroll down to the bottom here. We're going to go ahead and change this up. So first things first, we have this thing. So that's what we wanted. We want to make sure I have our standard div. What we're going to do instead, though, instead of writing out everything in here, inside where we have the spinner or this, we're going to change it a bit. What we're going to do is we're going to create a display profile method. So right here, display profile. This is going to be identical to the normal return function, but it's going to return all the profile data. So that way, instead of trying to put everything in here, in between these 2 parentheses of a ternary expression, we can just run this function, which will return like normal. So this isn't really going to do anything. We're just going to return. And the first thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and create our little container. So we have a div. This first div, though, is just going to be a blank div. This is going to be this is our fragment. Actually, no, we probably use fragment. Yeah, let's use fragment, actually. We don't need another random div floating. Fragment. That should auto import from React. If not, it goes up here with all the other React items. So fragment is part of React and the import. But I was able to auto import it similar to IntelliJ by just typing it and hitting enter. Fragment. Again, fragment is just a way to contain all your JSX elements without creating an actual element on your HTML. So this does not get rendered by the front end. I see stuff in the chat, make sure I'm not missing anything. All right. So yeah. Now that we have the fragment, first thing, so let's go ahead and write some comments quick. So comments in JSX are a little different. You have to do bracket and then the slash. So, or slash star star slash. So remember that we want to, if you want to use a JavaScript comment, we have to use this. You can actually use HTML bracket comments, but they're not going to be recognized by your JSX. So JS is going to think you're doing something wrong. Just be aware of that. So in JSX, you really want to use the JavaScript comments, but to use JavaScript syntax, you have to do the curly brackets. Because if I do it without the curly brackets, it's thinking I just want to type that in. So, but even then, it's gonna be like, what are you trying to do? It's not like it gets confused with that syntax. So curly brackets and this. So the first thing I'm going to say right here is banner Profile banner, that's what we'll call it. After the profile banner. Relationship buttons. Last but not least, about me and friends lists. So those are our three main sections we're going to be coding one by one. Sound good?
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. What's really cool about this is we can also technically, and these again are where we could decide, oh, you know what, these are all components. And so you could, of course, extract these items. For now, we're just going to code them in here, and later on, you can decide if you want to pull them out. So you can see how that works. First, let's create our div to store the profile banner. You know, inside the div, we're going to have two, if you think about it, I go back to, oh, I should have kept that writing somewhere. Dang it. That's fine. I'll go ahead and do our untitled here so I can pull up the annotation. Do this, draw, block. We have our banner. We have the avatar image, the name, the cohort. We have our block buttons. And we have our about me, friends, and then that, or the geek outs. So looking at this top banner thing, we know we have a image tag, and then we have text and text. But we want to make sure we have the image on the left with the two tags on the right equalized with the image. And so what's coming to mind if we look at this? What do we need? How can I visualize this? Color quick. There we go.
What was the question again?
So in order to make this work in HTML, how am I supposed to organize this? That way I have the image on the left and these two pieces of text on the right of it. You think back to how we've been playing with it.
It's a flex box, so you're gonna have to divide at least by 2, if not by 3, to make 3 equal parts.
Really, if you think about it, we have 2 rows, right? We have 2 rows on a column, and it's, sorry, 2 columns in a row. So we have the row.
Yeah.
So we want the avatar and the text to be on the same row. We just want to make sure that the avatar is in its own column and the text is in its own column. If you think about that, and if you want to keep going further on this, we say that the buttons are in their own column, or their own row. These are in their own row with a column, with 2 columns here, and this is in its own section as well. And so really the best thing to do is to think about your website in the sense of rows and columns. Each row, what's beneficial about React, not React, sorry, in Flexbox versus the old system where we actually used to use tables. Creating columns and rows in HTML has been a long-standing practice. If anyone who's been a front-end developer before, there's 2 tags that you probably are very, very familiar with. Or 3 tags that you probably are very familiar with.
Yep. Oh, yep.
These 3, TD, TR, and TH with the table tag as well. So you have the table tag and then TD, TR, and TH. And a lot of older websites, these 3 tags would be littered everywhere because you would just tableize everything to make sure that you could organize it and display it in the way you wanted. And I can still see that sometimes in certain websites. That mentality of rows and columns is still very prevalent because it helps to make sure things are organized correctly. But back then, when you made a table, whatever, you had to set the number of columns at the time of creating the table. So you had to decide how many columns that table had when you created the table, because you had to do your table headers. Each row, to make each row have different columns was complex and could have odd behaviors. In this case, because we're not actually creating tables anymore, we can just create a row with its own columns. We can be very dynamic easily with how we design each column in each row. So how this row works does not care about the rows below it work. It does not care about them. It does not need to be involved with them. It can very easily ignore them. That's why on this one, we can have the row favor the right side versus the left side. So we can say the left side has less size versus the right side. The next row, it can be a full row that everything's just loaded to the right. The next row, we can say, hey, prioritize the left side and give the right side less. And this one again, we can say, hey, this is it's a solo element or solo cell. And so that's a really nice, strong benefit of the Flexbox system, is that doing this kind of dynamicism with each row is a lot easier with Flexbox versus actual table tags and TDs. And not to mention just trying to remember to close every table row and table cell that you create. So TR and TD were the big ones. TR was table row and TD was table data or cell. And so trying to deal with those were never fun. And then having to add the CSS to make sure that they were configured correctly was honestly a nightmare. And trying to make those things responsive, also pain in the butt. Definitely nice that we have what we have now. So with that in mind.
If it's a pain in the butt today, imagine before.
Exactly. It's still not perfect, but it's definitely better than it was before. And yeah, remember in the beginning of the internet, Jesus Christ.
So
Go ahead, Jim.
the question is then, what about the graphic banner? Is that underneath and behind it and the other ones are floating? Or does it become a background picture and then just everything else is on top of it?
It's going to be a div with a background image. And that's the
Okay.
most common system you'll be using. So
All right.
this div right here is going to be our box, this green box around here. And this is also going to be the system that manages our row, our system. So div, style. Okay, we had that image, by the way. So what we need to do actually is bring that image in. So I'm going to actually bring that image in.
I'm used to starting something like doing this. I would start it as a container because this is one big container, but is that wrong?
You can definitely do a container, yes. But since I don't
Is the
have a
container the
container,
whole entire page though, or is the container just
No.
that one piece?
Again, you decide what a container is. The common practice that a container is the whole page,
Okay.
but some people do use a container to also create a image as well for a avatar. So,
Oh,
or
okay.
a background image thing.
I'm
Yeah.
so used to using containers all the time because they just seem to like work really well. They seem to make the page look nicer, but I just do it because of habit, I think, because of my old school stuff.
Gotcha. No worries. Where is my notes? There they are. Okay, man. Remember for a quick second. Where are the images? Make sure I teach you guys where those go. Assets. Yep. And part of the reason why I wanted to do this again was just to showcase, because yeah, you're gonna have just some static images. Some images you can just pull from like I said, Amazon S3 storage if you want. But a lot of times you're gonna have you're gonna have images that your website is just gonna use, and that's what your website is gonna use. So in this case, we're gonna do is to our sources, we're gonna add one more new thing. A new folder, assets. And this is something that React does check for. It looks for an assets folder to make sure it will optimize your images and stuff, make sure that they're good to go. So, and here I'm going to go ahead and do reveal in Finder. There. And I'm going to go ahead and bring from our downloads yesterday. Oh crap! What was the name of that file? I don't like searching through my downloads.
Did we get a
Probably.
file last class?
We did. I just can't remember what it was.
Oh, we found it, but I don't remember you downloading it.
I did.
Oh, okay.
Do we need one too?
Yeah, you'll want to grab an image.
Okay.
Oop, I think that's it. There it is. There he is.
Oh, the Matrix. Cool.
Mm.
That was the background for my PSP years ago.
So I'm just going to bring that into my assets folder. Bring that right in. And then I like to rename it to something that's a little easier to type because I'm going to have to type it. So I'm going to just do
You send that to Slack or something?
to Slack. Try. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Where is Slack? Which screen is Slack on? There it is. Thing. And drop. There you go. Yep. It's uploading, and then hit the button. Oh, there's the link for the Zoom, by the way. Forgot to hit send on that, apparently. Yeah, you guys can now download that picture. You want to store it in your assets folder. Give you guys a minute or two to do that.
This might be the exact image that was on my PSP, actually.
That would be ironic.
It looks terribly familiar.
Oh, to be
Understand,
fair,
yeah.
it's the Matrix. It's about basically the same for everything.
Well, again, hey, this is copyright safe matrix because we're not actually using ones and zeros. We're using random characters. So it is copyright infringement free or copyright safe because it's not actually the matrix.
Yeah, it's not the Matrix
Ones and
code.
zeros. Yep, it's not ones and zeros. So we're safe.
Well, the Matrix isn't ones and zeros either. It's its own special character
I
set.
thought it
they
was
made.
originally. Oh, okay. I thought like in the first episode it was ones and zeros.
Oh, you people just remind me of
Ah,
something.
okay.
I'll have to
Oh,
talk
God.
about it after class.
Thank you.
Did anybody watch the new movie?
I
Not
keep
yet.
wanting to, but the wife has said no so far because she's heard bad reviews. I'm like, I don't
Yep,
trust people.
It's getting trashed.
Almost
Hi,
all of those
everyone.
do.
That's the
and
reason I
again,
didn't watch it. Just says it's trash.
I'm gonna pause the recording for a few seconds while people download because I don't need people saying stuff. But so recording it. Oh, that's my screen share. Hold on. So
Wait,
that's
what
not
did she
needed.
say?
Recording. All right, so we got the image. So to use images in our React projects, JavaScript and JS makes it very easy. We just import the image. So you can do import image from assets / and then just give the name of the image. And that's why I renamed the image to make sure it was easy to remember because you actually have to type it in. Background .jpg. Which is the autofill will not autofill a non.js file for you. So that's why I like to rename it to something that's easier to type in.
Oh.
Mhm. So that being said, now we can let's go ahead and do some code here. So first things first, I'm going to do background image. Background. Say was it size? I'm trying to remember the thing. I'm trying to remember what it was called again. Where is my notes again? I keep scrolling up my notes. I gotta stop doing that. Components. Yeah, background size. Yep, background size. The most common one you want to use here is something called cover. Why cover? Well, cover, what that does is it changes it from doing, again, what HTML will try to do is try to either resize the image while maintaining, or try to resize the image to fit the system. It may also decide to, if the space is larger than it is, it will just put the image as a tiny image in the center of it and keep its original size and just put white space around it. If you try to make it fit, it will stretch it and not keep aspect ratio. And so you'll get pixelation or you'll get stretching or warping. So you'll get one of those kind of things happening. What cover does, cover says to increase the image or to keep the aspect ratio. And so if it's a large enough image, it'll just put the image in the center, right in the middle of the spot, and then overhangs, and it will hide the overhang. The overhang won't be visible. If it's smaller, it will grow the image while keeping the aspect ratio until it fills up the image. So if you have a square item, but let's say you have a portrait image, the top and the bottom will get cut off, but it will keep that aspect ratio so you don't get warping. You might get pixelation, depending on how thin it is and how wide you need to stretch it. But this is, for me, one of the best things to not do tiling. So that's the other way of taking a smaller image to fill up the space, is to do tiling, which then will just take the image at its original size and start putting it as tiles like on a wall. Starting with the upper left corner and then keep going until it fills it in, which of course can cause tiling artifacts, which don't always look good because you get those sharp edges on each tile. Unless you get, like we talked about before, seamless images. So you can get seamless images, which I will say, I forgot about this, but if you get certain images, I think Photoshop or even some of the tools out there are some tools now to convert an image to be a seamless image. So there are seamless image converter tools out there now. So if you do have an image that is close to being seamless but isn't, you can put it through a seamless generator and make it seamless. So you won't see those edges. It's really, really cool that we have that now. Okay. Doesn't always look great, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it can do it's pretty impressive what it can do. Anyway, cover though is the one I tend to use in most cases. It makes sure that it's fits up the image without any warping, and as long as my image is large enough, it won't pixelate. So one thing to be very, very careful of when you're using images to take up a large top section, make sure that they are landscape mode and that they are a decent, at least 1,000 pixels across minimum. So I did not check our image, by the way, so we might have a bad image for this. I just realized. No, we got a good image. 5,000 by 3,000. We are great. This thing will probably not need to be modified as much at all. All right, cool. So we got that. We're going to go ahead and do a height. In this case, I'm going to use, again, a view height trick on this. So view height, again, is taking the view of my screen and taking it be 0 view height at the top and 100 view height at the bottom. And so think about this. How much view height do I want this to take up? What kind of percentage do I want it to take when I first load the screen? What are we thinking? You want to take like 1/3 of the screen, 1/4 of the screen? Quarter. Yeah, I would say probably a little bigger than 1/4 because you don't want to be exactly 1/4 because then just people notice that stuff. They feel like it looks weird because it's too perfect. So I would do something like 27 VH. So that's something I would do. I would never do an exact like 60, sorry, I would never do like 50, 25, 75, something like that, or 100 or anything like that. I would always do a little off or a little extra. So 27 view height is 27% of the height of my screen. And that makes it very user-friendly because it bases the height of this object based on your user's monitor or display ports, whether they're using their phone or their computer, it will change. And whether even on their phone, if they're viewing it horizontal or vertically. Got that. Next thing I want to do is do, of course, display flex. Let's get that in there so we can do that. We do flex direction. That's what I want. We'll make this a row. Yeah. Then let's go ahead and do some margin and padding. So first, use margin. And now this is where I tend to use, for example, EM and REM. And what is EM and REM? I want to know what that is. What?
EM?
Yeah, EM and REM.
Oh. They're not with pixel sizes, right? Are they form of measurements?
They're a type of measurement, yeah. Do you want to know what they do though? What is EM? Why EM?
That's a crossword puzzle answer. They usually say what it's at M's or N's, that usually for spacing.
Yeah.
For spacing purposes.
All you tell me, like, I don't actually know if it has an actual acronym or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
I'm not aware of it. I think it just means element. I believe EM stands for element.
Okay.
But put it simple, in CSS, you have your absolute sizes. You can use, we've also used PX, and that stands for pixel, right? Yeah. But you can even use points, which is 1/72th of an inch. You can also use picas, which are 12 points, which I don't know who uses those. I'm pretty sure those were used in the older computer era. But you actually can use inches. Inches are roughly 96 pixels, roughly, or actually, I think it's exactly 96 pixels. But I think it also might be varying based on the computer, the screen that you're using, though. So you can do inches. Don't recommend it. You can also do millimeters and centimeters. So you can put millimeters, inches, and centimeters into your items, like height and stuff like that. I don't recommend them because we're using computers. We should use computer measurements. So pixels is the way I would go. Pixels, points, and picas, sure. But then if you're doing what is called responsive development, you tend to want to lean more towards relative lengths. Not to say that absolute lengths are not useful. Absolute units are not useful. They are very useful, especially for min width or max width, setting maximums and minimums. But relative lengths are good for items that you want to make sure are relative to the screen being viewed on, or relevant to the items. So you have EM, which is relevant to the font size of the element. So based on the font size of the element, EM will change. Now, of course, every browser and every site has a default font, and that's what we're kind of basing it on that element. If I change the font in this element, EM will change. REM, anyone want to take a guess what the difference is for that?
Just irrelevant, isn't it?
Nope. They're both
Root
relevant.
element.
What?
The root.
Yes,
Root element.
So REM says base it on the root element or your head, I think, or body, the body tags, even the HTML tags, root elements font. So it will go up to its parent class, all the way up the chain to its parent to find out its font size, and it will use that font size for its relativity. So 1 EM is equal to the font size. So if your font size is 17 pixels, 1 EM is 17 pixels. 2 EM is 2 times that. 3 EM is 3 times that. 0.5 EM is half of it. Make sense? So you're saying you're setting a ratio of what your size is compared to the font size. So it's a really useful item to use EM because as you can guess, the font size on a phone is going to be different from the font size on a computer, right? Especially if you have dynamic coding in your system. If you're using the default font sizes on a phone versus a computer, those font sizes are going to be different. So EM is a very useful item as well. We've already used another relative length already. Which one?
REL.
What?
REL.
That's not a unit. Nope.
Oh.
We've already used one already.
In here?
VH.
Yeah, VH.
Oh.
It's relative, right?
Hmm.
This is based on my user's system. It's relative to my user's system. And its alternate, its counterpart is what's the opposite of view height?
Vertical. Is that vertical height?
No, view height.
That's view height. Width
Yeah, what's
height.
the opposite?
No. WH? No.
Nope.
Pixels?
Nope.
No. Okay.
What's the opposite of height?
What? Length.
Ugh,
Height.
you said it. No.
Width.
Thank you. Yes, width. Height and width, people. Come on. And I like how you added length, but we're working in a 2D space. There is no such thing as length in a 2D space.
Wow.
So unfortunately, yeah, HTMLs do not have a length technically.
You
could
could
definitely-
okay though, because I could always say, I mean, yes, length is usually like a 3D thing, but sometimes I can say the height and length of a 2D object too. But yes, I understand.
Not many people do though. Most people say height and width. Length is how far back something goes, how far into the depth it goes. So yeah, if you're talking about 2D object, we have a square. We're looking for the area of a square. We say height by width. We don't say height by length. We add length once we get into the 3D systems. So yeah, you have view height and view width, and then you technically also have view min, which is relative to 1% of the viewport's smaller dimension. So
What's the
up?
thickness then?
We don't have thickness in
No, but it's
HTML. There's three more relative items. You have, well, I'll give you the easier one first. This percentage, which people have seen us use percentage for, something percent that is relative to the parent element. So the parent element, you base your item, your percent, your like size based on the relative element. Be careful with it because I'm not always clear what it's relative to, what statistic it uses, whether it uses height, width, font size, area. I don't know what that percentage is relative to, so just be aware of it. So it's not always. I get weird behaviors when I use percentage sometimes. It's not always what I expect, but I'll still use it just to get my looks and be like, hey, it looks fine, so I'll use it. The last two I personally haven't used, but it could be very useful if you're planning to be someone that's going to have people having to switch their phone from vertical to horizontal constantly. Vmin and Vmax. Vmin is 1% of the viewport's smaller dimension. So when a phone is vertical, which dimension is the smaller one?
Height.
Again,
No,
height is
width.
smaller.
Width.
Horizontal.
On this phone right now, which is the smaller dimension?
Width.
Horizontal.
Width, right? Yeah, horizontal is width.
Width,
Yep. When I do this, where's the smaller dimension?
Height.
Right. And so Vmin changes its measurements based on which dimension is the smallest dimension. So that can be very useful at times. Vmax is your other side. So Vmin, when I'm doing a vertical phone, Vmin, Vmax. When I do this, Vmax, Vmin. So those are your relative units in HTML, CSS. So again, you don't need to know many. For me, the ones I care most about is EM, VHVW, and then pixels. With that, I pretty much have what I need. I might use percentage, but I very rarely do. It's a combination
But
between EM, VH.
Points are
Go
good
ahead.
because that's usually generally a font size, but then you can always like know how points are not that is also pretty good
Oh,
as
yeah.
well.
I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying the only
No,
ones
I'm just
I
saying,
use.
yeah.
I'm just letting
Yeah,
you guys know.
no.
The ones I use are
Yeah.
VH, VW, EM, REM, so the EMs, pixels, and percentage. That's really it. I don't use any of the others. So if that's all you memorize and that's all you just choose to use, you're fine. But you can definitely feel free to do more with these if you are interested in more dynamicism, but don't feel you need to use them in your personal project. So margin, I like to start with a 2EM, and then I will adjust it based on what I need. Adding.
I think the M's actually well, you say element, but I think the EMs actually come from the old printing presses when they used to print because they had to figure out the spacing between each letter, the
Could be.
kerning, as they call it. They call it kerning.
Again, it's based on the font size, like I said.
Yeah.
So it could be. Anyway, 2 rem, and then for the padding, I'll tend to use, for this, I tend to use pixels, and in this case, I use multiples of 8. They are a good kind of, again, middle ground where it's not too perfect looking and it gives enough gap without being 5 or 10. So I'll usually start with 8 pixels, and then I'll adjust based on needed, and I'll usually do different for height for the left and right and the top and bottoms. That's usually a good starting point. And then again, I will adjust when I actually see it and see what it looks like. Anything else I need? Where's my notes? There they are. That's fine for now. Yeah. All right, so there's that. Next, we need our div to contain our image that's going to be in a column. So it's again, we need to create the column first and then put the image inside of it. So first, div file. And do flex 1. I've got another curly bracket.
I used to do column equals. You just use flex to make the new column.
Yeah.
Okay.
We made it. We did this flex direction row. Now I can do this. I can say this to be flex direction column, but since I'm only putting one element in it, I don't need to clarify. So because I'm only putting a single element, I don't need to clarify where it puts the next element on the right or on the bottom. So in this case, I don't need to put flex direction, but if I wanted to clarify what this is, I can. I can do flex direction row as a way to tell myself this is a row. It's unnecessary because only one element is going to be in here, but I can do that if I need it.
Yeah, because I remember you have to type in column, div column to be able to specify how many columns you had. Was that was like the old school.
Hmm.
But
Oh, good.
Hmm.
So we got that. Now in here, we're actually going to go ahead and bring in our image. So image tag. SRC. Remember how to do this again. One second. That now. Pretty cool. I can just do, oh, not two brackets, one bracket, to image, just like that. That should be fine. Yeah, I went correctly. Oh no, that's not what I want to do. I want to do the, right, I'm trying to do the placeholder. That was what I wanted. Does anyone remember where the placeholder is? How we got that? What was the location of the site we're going to use?
Oh, it's in the assets folder, but can't we use the
Oh, this is
image?
this is
Oh.
this guy.
I'm sorry, what guy?
This is the image for the avatar that we're not using yet. So we
Oh.
just need a placeholder image.
Oh, right, not that's the background.
Yeah.
the hash mark, the pound
That's
sign
the
Upstream, something like that.
was the placeholder.
Yeah, you just got to place. Remember the website I gave you guys for placeholder images.
Oh, oh yeah,
Yeah, placeholder.com.
yeah.
Okay, remember? All we need to do is just give it the size of the picture we want. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and pick a picture. Let's see, probably 150 by 150. That looks like a good size.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So it'll be placeholder dot, so via, remember that, via placeholder.com 150. So we just do that right here. And our source, https:// via dot placeholder.com/150. And look at that quick again, make sure we get it right. Placeholder.com/150. That should be good. We may come in later and add some styling to make sure it sits right, but for now we'll leave it like that and see what it does. With images, I like to see what it does by default, and then I'll adjust it if I need to. Next div is going to be for our names. So we're going to do div. Now this time, again, we'll go ahead and add the styles again. Style. This time though, we do need to clarify with it. Yeah. That this needs to be, we do need to clarify this one as a column because we're going to have two elements, a H1 tag and a P tag. The H1 for the name and the P tag for the cohort. One, I'm not there. I'm doing dumb stuff. So style, flex. Take a look at this. What do you think the ratio is between these two elements? Between these two rows, what's the ratio? A 1 to what? Or what kind of percentage do you think it is? Sorry. So remember how flex works. If I give this a flex of 1, that means there's 2 total flex available, and this one takes 1 flex, this one takes 1 flex. So it's gonna be half and half.
okay, we're talking about the blue and the divider between them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
It looks like just less than a third.
So we're thinking that we have a total of 3 flex, and this takes 2 flex, this takes 1 flex, right?
Yeah.
So 2 units and 1 unit. So this would be a flex of 2 then, because if we add this flex with this flex, we have 3 total, and that's how we know that that's going to get. And then this will take up 1 of those 3, and this will take up 2 of those 3 available. That's how flex works. Flex direction.
Ah, that's what it was. Just
One.
look at my old code.
This will be a column. B6 is a column, by the way.
So we used to do class, and then we used to do class row and class column and class all these
Bootstrap.
big new
Yep.
stuff.
That was Bootstrap.
Yeah, okay. So this
Yep.
right here is the replacement of typing using Bootstrap by using the flex and the flex
Using
direction.
actual CSS and not classes. Yep.
Okay, all right,
So much more freedom.
all right.
Next up, we're going to do a simple H1 tag. We'll do props. Developer dot name. And so we're going to assume that in the props here, we're going to get a developer. Oh, and we got the developer. Forgot about that. Don't need props. My bad. Developer dot name. Then p tag. Developer dot cohort. I think it's safe to say we can test this out now. See what this looks like. See how crappy this looks with our CSS, right? See how bad our this doesn't work. So down here, instead of this H1 profile, we're going to replace this with the function call. Let's do instead display profile parentheses. Now we no longer need the parentheses here either. Do that instead on the function. All right. Let's see how horrible this looks. Well, our background image didn't load. Great. Not exactly what we wanted. So let's go ahead and do some inspection and see what we have. What did get rendered right? So I'm going to get rid of our little drawing here now for a little bit. And one of the things I like to do is I like to inspect now. So this is how I usually do my styling debugging. It's always good to know what did I get, what didn't I get. So here's our system here. Got background size, cover. I don't see the image there, do I? And didn't grab my background image. That's not what I expected. Double check my code again quick. Oh, I'm dumb. Right. This is something a little quirky with React. I forgot about this. We have to do something called backtick URL. Let's see, $, bracket, image, bracket. Wants the URL. And so what this does is a HTML syntax to get the URL of a image that has been imported by JavaScript. Let's do that. There it goes. Also realize, what did I just realize now?
You made the background image.
Yeah, my text is not very visible, is it? So we're gonna do something really cool here. I could go into each the H1 and P1 tags and add the stuff there, or I can go here right to the div here and do color. White, not wheat. White. My wheat. What?
White.
I'm going to do that for now, but I will say very rarely do you actually want to use pure white. So I'm going to change that in a second. Just make sure that works. Good, I can see it now. What I actually want to do though is never use white. Always use like F1 off-white. Always use an off-white because white is so bright. It's kind of harsh on the eyes and it's not a good user experience. So almost never use all F. Do not go full F.
Can we do the parade of broken code now?
Yes, let's go back to the code now.
Yeah, because
So
mine's not working.
Interesting is the size of the image. is
hold
the
on.
size of your two
We get
of your two
that.
columns.
There's a
That's
couple more
what-
things
that's
that
what-
we want to do. Yeah, there's a couple more things we want to do here before we start. Actually, no, let's go ahead and fix the broken code so we can get to this.
Yeah, because I don't know what my
Let's get
problem
here.
is, as usual.
I would hate to have to do more changes to the HTML before you guys are good. So let's go ahead and stop screen. Report.
So I click on the user profile and I get a cross origin issue. Why is it getting the news?
Check your use effect code
In where is that exactly?
in here. Scroll up.
It's in here.
Right there. That's not what we're looking for. So let's go back to your system.
Back here.
Yeah, the website, sorry.
Yeah.
Display profile, developers 9. That is what we want to see. Hold on, no, that's not. No, you're getting it. You're getting the right code. That's from earlier.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. All
I'm
right.
gonna say, I see this. This is what we want to see. See, that's
Okay.
good. So you are getting the data. So
Mhm.
you're just not displaying it for some reason. So, go back to your code.
Sure.
You're printing out the name of the method instead of actually running the method. So take a look.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I think did
Yeah.
I really? Wow.
Yeah,
Smart.
Undo because you want the ternary, so you still want the spinner. So undo, get the spinner
I
back.
don't think I actually put the spinner in.
Okay. So then, yeah, just put that in.
What did I just undid something. Hold
Scroll
on.
down.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
can just do return display profile function. You don't need to do the H1 tags at all.
Oh, got it. Okay.
You don't even need the parentheses technically. But I would keep it like that so you can add the ternary spinner later.
Sure. Oop, don't need that.
Don't need
All right.
that. Yep.
I will comment that in though that I remember to do. Oh, all right. So
Add spinner.
I was expecting the brackets in the comment to come in. All right, let's try this.
If you kept the H1 tag, yeah, but we don't want to keep that.
The image is broken for some reason.
Yeah.
You probably need to add that URL bit there that I just did.
I-
Or did you put it in the
I-
asset folder?
You know, that's what I just undid.
Oh.
No, there it is. Is this
Alright.
correct?
Scroll up. Yeah, it looks fine. Back ticks. Yep. Roll to the top. No, you have assets with a capital A. Okay. Background image.jpg. Background image.jpg. That looks correct. Back to your code.
Sure.
Wait, not
Oh,
code,
code, the
website.
what website? Yep.
Yeah, that thing. Thank you. Let's do it. Let's go to network. And let's go ahead and,
There's right there. Not finding it.
oh, that's what's broken. It's the placeholder one that's broken, not
Oh.
your background image yet.
Now they're
The
coming
background
in.
image isn't showing yet, but we'll fix that in a second. You might also just go back one screen and go back again, but. Let's go ahead and do one thing first. Let's go via placeholder.com/150.
I think that's what I have.
Fine. Yeah, let's go here quick. Image source, HTTPS. No www. No www.
Oh, don't need that.
Nope.
I've had this laptop for months, and I still hit numlock every time I want to hit backspace.
Oof.
Most
That's
irritating
annoying,
thing.
stupid.
All right, that's good.
Good. So now you got to figure out why your background image though isn't loading. So let's go to the inspector. Inspector.
Oh,
Would that just be
inspector.
code because it's maybe something's mistyped?
So I'm thinking, let's go and take a look at what it looks like in there. So let's inspect your element.
Oh,
Not that one. Yeah.
where-
Let's just
uh,
just keep digging into the divs until you find it.
oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep opening all these up.
That one right there is what we're looking for. Right, no, that's the nav. So down more. Down more.
Here? Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
You can actually probably click on the element. and
That
it'll-
should be it. That height 27 VH. That should be it. We don't even have the background image either, or background size. I think that's it, right? Yeah, the 2 REM margin and padding. So that should have the background color. So let's go back.
To here?
Code, yep. Let's go to your code now. Oh, why is there capital B's?
Oh, these are supposed to be lowercase?
Always, yeah. Camel case. JavaScript, man.
Hey, there it is.
I
All my
can't
stuff's
see.
gone, but oh.
It's black. The text is black. You need to change the color to white.
Yeah, I can see the
Oh
text.
yeah, there it is. There it is. Okay. I thought I probably put this in the wrong spot. Oh yeah, I
That or
put
you
it
undid it.
here. I put it is it supposed to be in here or is it
I put it in the other div, the one right above the text, but that should be inherited, I thought. Maybe
all
not.
right, let's
Weird.
move it then.
Yeah. I put
The
in
one
div
above
with the
the
column,
You were
yeah.
also missing a 1 from that.
I was? Oh, I
yeah,
certainly
You
was.
are. That's not a valid color then. Yep, that might do it.
Yeah, on
There it
fire
is.
thank you, Mike, but I'm
Good catch. There you
no,
go.
I've dropped about 8 balls in the last 5 minutes, but thank you, Cliff.
No, you're fine, man. All right, back to mine. So there's a couple things going on with mine that Freddie that Matt doesn't have. So first of all, let's again inspect quick, and then we'll remind ourselves that we have a container div already that is shrinking our size. Remember? So we had our container div right here. Not here. Where is it? There it is. This guy, right? This one. Which one is it? Where is it? Oh no, I didn't take it to tell it to take up the full max width, did I? I did not. So one thing I was going to add in quick, we go back to our code. And this thing I always tend to forget. Width. We're going to tell it to try and take up 100% of its width. Another way we can do that though, in a simpler system, would be to say, hey, you know what? Since you are a flex item, inside of a flex item, say flex 1. That should tell it to take up the entire space it can. Yep, wrong way. Forgot this column. Never mind. So width. And this is where I use 100%. This is where I use percentages really to do 100%. So take up the maximum width it can based on its parent's width. Not exactly what we wanted. Where's the margins? Dang it. The margins aren't working right. That's weird. Surprised by that.
Does width override margin?
I didn't think it did, but it's looking like it is. Apparently. We also do it. We can do some playing here. Let's play a little bit. Let's go width here quick for a second. Let's try auto. Yep. Fit. No. Still available. That's interesting. Good. Yeah, there you go. Fit available. Could use that. I don't like using WebKits because I feel like that's not always supported by all browsers. We could use WebKit. We can also use, of course, our min and max width that we had before. So we're getting there. It looks closer, but I don't think I wanted to take the full width of the height of the thing. Maybe I want to hit max at like 750 or something. So I'm also going to do, let's try this quick. Or not there. We'll do it here so you can see my live edit that I usually do. Do that. Grab this guy again, so using the WebKit. I'm going to go ahead and do the width. We'll do max width. And then we'll add width 100%, not 10. What do you think? A little more, or does that look good? The main thing is we want to make sure it doesn't get too wide, because you also got to remember that people nowadays, they have the widescreen monitors. So we have extra wide monitors now. Curved monitors. So you have things like this freaky thing. What do you think, people? How do you think it'll look like on that?
Oh, God.
Well, curved monitors are tricky.
Right. And not only that, just how wide it is. Imagine how wide this would be if we set it to be a relative length. So that's why max width is very helpful. It sets to a point where your website won't go nutty, you know? We can kind of set a good safe area. So I think a little more might be nice. So let's go ahead and test it. We'll go ahead and go back to the inspection screen again. So 12. Get back open. It didn't bring me to my thing, of course. How dare you? That one, yeah, no. Dang it. Back in this guy right here. We'll go ahead and do 900. Oh, 9,000. 900. That looks good. We'll do a 900. Now I'm going to go back to my code now. Let's go ahead and switch our width here to keep it 100%, but now I'm going to do max width. 900. And again, this is where I like to use pixels, where I use absolute lengths, because I'm trying to set a maximum for all systems, saying that no matter what your system is, no matter how fancy your setup is, I have a maximum level. My width allows me to set it up where it's very dynamic. So if I do have a person that can't handle 900 px's, as I shrink this screen, we'll see it'll eventually it'll start to shrink the banner. So if someone is looking on their phone and doesn't have 900 width across, it'll still be visible in a professional looking way. If I didn't have max width, just to show what that looks like, This guy here. Yeah, no, where is it? This one, this one. Uncheck that, and I start shrinking. You're going to see that at some point it's not going to look good. Come on. Oh. So it always takes, and it keeps going wider and wider, wider. Luckily, the max width 100 will still make it shrink over time, but I can then make it as long as I want. We'll get that same problem we had before. Max width is helpful to make sure once it gets wide enough, our system will be like, you know what, you have enough. I'm going to keep it here so that it looks clean. It doesn't get overly big. And it'll also keep our image safe too, our background image. I don't know if anyone caught that. As the background image got bigger and bigger, this thing started getting blurrier, right? Started seeing some pixelation, stuff like that. Not fun. Yeah, that's the symbol that what's his name? Elon's kid uses. Anyway. So we're gonna keep our max width. Next thing I want to do is, I don't like how these are up and to the right, right? I want them down in the center a bit. I definitely want this guy centered in itself. So I want these horizontally centered, and then I want this vertically centered. This is fine where it is, but probably need to be pushed over a little bit. Let's take a look. What I want to do, I also may want a bigger picture now that I think about it. So let's go ahead and find that image. Let's go ahead and change this now a little bit. Let's do a 200 by 200. Let's switch that. Ugh. That looks fine. And let's move this to being centered. So let's go ahead and do here. Justify content center. Align items center. And didn't like that. All right. This is what's always been fun about this stuff. Let's also make sure we have display flex. Oh yeah, because right there, div display block. Display flex. There we go. Yeah, just clarify align items. That's not what I expected to happen. Why did that do that? That's weird. All right. Why do I don't think there's a margin on this thing? Is there a margin built in automatically? Size. Weird. Image. Very curious as to why that makes it bigger. Not sure on that one. That's a weird one. It's fine. That's what I want. I want that to look like that. And then for this, I probably want to center it horizontally. Right? That sound good? Let's go ahead and first we'll add these 3 items. So we did justify, align, and display. So let's add that there. So we go back to our code. We click on the image div. We're going to do display. Justify content, center, and align items. Center. Okay. I can move you here. There you go. So now for our text, let's click on this one. So we see this. We'll go ahead and add the display again. We'll do, let's try justify content as center. And that looks like it puts it right in the center, right? Looks good. We could probably add the text cohort here so we know what 15 means, because I know it's just 15 by itself. Yeah, all we need to do here is add display flex and justify content. Let's add that. Display flex. Justify content, center. And then over here, we're just going to add cohort there. And you know what? For the fun of it, let's just make it H2 so it's a little bigger, just to make sure that we actually have some space being taken up. Because right now we have very small stuff. make it a little more pop. How's it looking? Good, we didn't change our image size. Let's go change that quick. So 100. There we go. That look good? What are you thinking?
I think it looks fine, but I think the font should be increased just a tad bit, but it looks fine though. I mean, it's kind of just, I don't know.
Very plain. We could totally go on
Yeah.
to, like I said, you guys can totally go on to Google and stuff and find better fonts. I'm using a very
Well,
basic
no,
font, so
not the font type, just
font will
the
help.
size of the, no, not the font look, just the size of the font, make it like a little bit bigger. But
One thing I could do just make this look a little nicer. To all right. Case. Oh, yeah, it is uppercase, isn't it? Or one error. Right? Am I not logged in anymore? Why did I get logged out? Dang it. I didn't refresh my page, but whatever. 13. And no, it
hey,
didn't.
look at your code again. I think you did uppercase wrong. It should be capital C. It should be
I'll
two
double check.
uppercase.
I'm gonna find out. Let me just do this quick. It is capital C. All right.
Camel case.
I'll be honest, in some things they are weird with it. So
Yeah.
I was actually not confident in that one.
I looked that up myself. That's why I found that, because it's like, it doesn't seem right, but there you
That might look a
go.
little nicer with the capital text for
Yes,
the
that
name.
looks better.
Cool. Yeah, so I would put all lowercase for the names, which isn't great. So, there we go. All good. All right. So we got a nice little setup there. Let's go ahead and add some quick buttons. So I'm going to go ahead and import my button. Go ahead and do import button. And do our FA button too. Okay. We'll just bring in button. That's fine. FA button. Is that not what it's called? No, this is FA button. All right, whatever. Then again, we're not going to do any loading in this one, so it's unnecessary to do the FA button. We don't need the FA button. We can just do normal button. We're never going to use the spinner on this one. Well, maybe we would. We click it. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We'll deal with that later on. We'll do that tomorrow, Friday, because we're already hitting 8:44. Damn. Forget how long it can take to build stuff in Reaction. I'm trying to teach you guys because it's quick for me to throw things together because I just throw it all up and then play with the CSS for like an hour. I have to explain the code as well. So next one, relationship buttons. What I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna do a div again. So this is a div is going to contain our buttons. So here, style. This is gonna be again, let's do display. We know that divs by default are not flex. Something we could, of course, add to our app CSS if we wanted to finally stop having to do this. Just do a div tag with display flex to default everything to flex. That's fine. Something to think about in yours if you want to do that so you don't have to do this every single time. Get that default behavior as flex. There. Display flex. This is going to make sure we are doing a display, flex direction. There you go. Flex direction. Row. Make sure we get that. We're also going to do something called, so again, our justify content. This I'm going to do was called flex end. This means push everything to the end of the system. So that means put everything on the right side of our row. So put it on the end of the system. So you have flex end and flex start. Flex start would be similar to saying left align, or technically what it is, it's the default is flex start. So at the left or on the top. Flex end means push it to the right or push it to the bottom based on whether you're a row or column. So in a column, flex end means push it to the bottom. And flex start means bring it to the top whereas on a row, flex end is right, flex start is left. All right. So justify stuff to the right. Let's just add some basic buttons with no text, with no logic yet. We're just going to do add friend. Button. Save those. And just see what that looks like. See if that gets what we want. Not quite. Because I also didn't set the width. I'm being dumb. Please do what I want you to do. No, why are you doing that now when you do the height instead of the width? It makes no sense to me anymore. Width.
Should
Same
that be
thing.
column instead of row?
No, because it is a row. I want the two items side by side.
Okay.
Yeah. Width, we'll again do 100% and our max width. Was it 900 pixels we did?
Yes.
That again. See, close, but no, not quite what we wanted, huh? We don't want it wide like this. We want each of these buttons to be a certain size. We don't want them to take up the 100% of the space anymore. So in this one, if we click on them and do inspect, let's see what we want them to do. So we look through the button element. You see they have a width of 50. Let's play with this a bit. Let's go ahead and do auto. I spelled auto right. I'm messing stuff up. There we go. Okay. Auto. Inspect. Auto. Better, right? And we can see they are pushed to the right like we wanted. There's a bit extra padding there that we didn't really want. So to figure out where that's coming from. Because again, this is kind of what you do as when you're going to front end. You see that our div up here has that padding on the top and the bottom. Maybe we don't need that much, right? Maybe we don't need the margin. Let me go ahead and unclick the margin for a second, see what happens. Yeah, not quite. Do we want it attached to our nav bar? Or do we want a little gap there? What do you guys think?
I'd say the gap.
Yeah. So instead we can do this. We can say we're going to do I'm going to switch this up to being a 0, 1. That's what that looks like. Not quite. Why does that not do what I wanted it to do? Oh, I'm being dumb, right? This is top bottom. So 1, 0. There you go. So the first one is your top bottom, and the second one is your left right. So again, yeah, so just to clarify everybody here, there's 3 different ways you can write this. With one item, it is all 4 sides. With 2 items, the first item is your top and your bottom, and the second item is your left and your right sides. If you add all 4, the first item is top, and then it goes clockwise in a row. So top is your first number, right is your second number, bottom is your third number, and left is your 4th number. Which I think I might be backwards on the video, but you get the point. I'm pointing the right way to myself, so.
Goes clockwise, right?
It's clockwise, yeah. The first number is up, and then it goes clockwise. All right, so that looks a little better. So let's go, so we want to update the margin on our item here, and we also want to update the data we added to this div. So first, let's go do the quick one. So right here, margin 1 and 0. Quick one, and then down here to our button item. On our buttons, I'm going to do style. I'm going to come in, click on this because, oh no, there we go. If we could look at it quick, we do see that we did do props.style. So our button will take in any styles we give it, and we'll take them. So good. We do have that configured right. So do width as auto.
Spelled width wrong.
I did. I just I'm like, that doesn't look right. I'm going to do a little more of padding. The 0.5 REM on the top and bottom. Actually, I'm going to do 0. 0.3 and 0.5 here. That'll actually look good, just based on my experience. And I'll add that to this button as well. Save it.
Go get some of the drink.
Go for it. Yeah, it's time to do it. Well, actually, earlier would have been, but. I don't think it did my padding. Oh, because I have padding top and padding bottom, which are more specific. So it overrode what I gave it. Dang it. Padding. If I want to edit it later, I can. How did I do that in my function, my item? We're gonna have to fix that for you guys later because that's not the best way to do it. It's usually good to add the default padding system and then write the other. No, I guess not. It is probably better to put each item separately. Fine. Those look fine a little bit. Probably just want to make we do white text. You think maybe? Let's add some white text. So then we'll do F, F, F. F. In this case, actually, I'm just going to red. Let's do one F. Let's do the one F actually.
I was gonna say, can you make the block button red?
Background color. There we go.
There we go.
That look good. I didn't get the
So
white.
you change
color.
those to white.
I did
or-
too.
Should be F1 instead of 1F.
Oh,
Dang it.
oh, that's right. You have to add the dollar sign, the pound
And the
sign,
pound,
right?
yeah, that too. Yep. Octo something actually heard it. The virtual name is actually Octo something. Yeah, there we go. One last thing I'll give you guys as a fun item for tonight, then before we end up, and we'll do the rest of the stuff tomorrow or Friday. We'll see what we do. Thursday, not Friday. We also may just finish this up tomorrow. Actually, yeah, I think we're really wrapping near the end. This is the most complicated system we had today, really. The rest of the stuff is pretty straightforward. This is just gonna be Lorem Ipsum text, nothing fancy. And this will just be a standard similar system we did before, which is just pulling a list of items and displaying them. So I think we should be able to finish this tomorrow, especially if I don't have to run a little late. We'll do things shorter, but we'll do a little bit of algorithm first. We'll do that. What I'll actually do is we'll do the pitch thing on Thursday, actually. So that pitch thing on Thursday. So you guys will put your names in the, so from today till Thursday, let me know if you're interested in having your project be part of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an assignment. Let's do this actually. Hold on. Classroom. That way I don't want to post it in the chat, so make sure only those people who are here get to benefit from it. So if you're not in class, you don't benefit. Back to class. I gotta get rid of that. I gotta get rid of that link to an old classroom. Go classwork. Create assignment. This assignment. Project. Night to turn it in by then. Project, there we go. students. So yeah, mostly only you guys who are here in class today will understand what this is, or those who watch the video. So you do those who do at least watch the video by tomorrow will be able to understand what's going on and can still submit theirs. Yeah, just submit it. We might do it more than one day if you guys really benefit from it on Thursday. If you guys really liked it and benefited from it, we might do it another day, especially if there's a lot of you that submit. Like I said, what we'll do is on Thursday we'll use the wheel to decide the order. But like I said, so the goal again, submit your project name and the project. You'll get 5 minutes to explain what the project is. And then I will get to ask you questions about it and guess clarifiers, anything that I need more to understand what the project is that I need to know or better understand it. So I know what we're trying to build. And then, yeah, we'll do like a 30-minute planning set, like a maximum 30-minute planning session. We'll probably try to keep it between 15 to 30 as of how I would plan my approach. That involves no code whatsoever. How would I prep, and maybe even showcase like, oh, well, I'll create these file structures so that I know a layout. I'll have like a layout or something. So you guys can see my process in starting a project brand new that I've never done before for the first time. How do I go around it? All right. Sound like a cool concept?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Again, the way I do it, it may not work for some of you. My goal though, by doing this, some of you will see how I do it and use that as inspiration for your own process, your own way of approaching a project, your own way of breaking it down. That's really my purpose of a lot of these tools. I show you the tools knowing full well that these tools work for me and may not work for you. But the goal is you can use these, what I do, as a way of inspiring your process. 100%. Once you find a process that works, feel free to share with your classmates, because some of your classmates may be still struggling to find that process, and your process may work better for them than mine. So always be aware of that. So I'll sign that.
I think most of it's setting the project up. Like I would have an idea. It's just not necessarily breaking it down quick enough, or doing the project and breaking it down quick enough to know, to keep doing it.
Yep. And not only that, just seeing how I break down the first version of the first steps. So you can do the same process once you finish that process, what I came up with. Once you finish that, I would use the same process for the next stage in the project.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to come up with the full roadmap of your project in 15 to 30 minutes.
No,
Just be aware of
that's the thing about me. That's what I'm going with, in that direction, like you're saying. Like,
Yes.
you say, if I wanted to build a car, I'm like, all right, I need a body, I need the frame, I need wheels, I need an engine, I need seats, and I need, that's great. Now I have now I start breaking that down. I'm like, all right, what should I start with? Should I start with the body, or should I start with the tires, or
Body
all
first,
right,
then
let's start with
tires, and that way I can
first.
push
So
it. I would
after I
do body
decide-
first, then the tires, because then once I have those
I
two
would
pieces,
think about-
I can push it.
So let's just say that. Let's just go with that. I
Yeah.
would say, yes, okay, I'll start with the body, then I'll
Love
start with
somebody.
the frame.
I think
And I'm like, all right, got
Yeah,
those done.
Matt.
I'm like, now where do I go? Do I do the tires, the engine, or the interior? Now it's just like I could get lost in that, or I'm not looking so far ahead. I'm still working on the project, but I'm not looking. Okay,
Yeah.
what should I look in the next 4 steps that I should be approaching, and then try to implement that, or does that make sense?
Right.
I
No, it's all
guess it's keeping updating on the project. Okay, this is what I first think it is, and then my second one, as I keep going, I should keep updating and keep changing.
Again, you'll see it on
because-
Thursday instead of us going down a weird rabbit hole. But yeah, you'll definitely see how I look at it. But yeah, basically, yeah, I would just like that, where I would break down the process of realizing, okay, my first thing is, what's the first thing I can do in a car that'll make it runnable, or at least something that I can do something with it, and I at least start playing with it. And for me, I might start, like, I could argue, yeah, I'll start with the tire, because at least I can just roll the tire down the street. But that's nowhere near to a car. So I probably would personally, since I'm a little more experienced, I'd probably do the body, not the body, with the, like, yeah, not the body, but the base, and then add the tires, so I can at
Frame?
least push something. Yeah, the frame.
Oh, yeah.
Frame and then the tires, and so I could push that down the street and stuff like that. Then add the seat, so I have something to sit on as it rolls down. Then probably the drivetrain and the engine, like the thing that actually allows me to turn the car. So I still have no engine, nothing propelling it, but at least I can sit, I can turn the wheel, and it can roll down a hill, and I can turn it. Then I probably add the brake next. I knew that would get somebody.
I don't want to stop it.
I knew that one would get a reaction. Yeah, I probably realized that very shortly after that, for that first test, as I'm rolling down the hill with my wheel and my seat, and I'm like, wait a minute, I have a problem.
I mean, it's a great Flintstones concept. You
Yeah,
wear the right set of boots that day.
seriously. Otherwise, I'm diving. Ah! Yeah, I learned very quickly. I think the next thing is the break, and that's part of the cool thing. As you get to a certain point, once you get to a certain point, as you're testing, your test will help you to realize what the next thing you should build is, because you're like, all right, I can do this. Well, I want to do this now. Like, oh, wait, I can't do that yet because I haven't implemented that. I'm gonna work on that next. Once you get to a certain point in your build, you'll get to a point where the project will tell you what the most obvious next thing to add is, because you can at least say, oh, I can use this now. Because of what I have, I can do this next. And so that's what you'll be able to hopefully see as we move forward on that little exercise we'll get to play fun with. But last thing I want to do quick is just kind of do a little fun item for you guys for your front ends in case you want to play with it a little bit. For those of you who did actually bring Font Awesome in, I will get to, I'm going to show you right now how to add a font or a icon to your project quick, because we do probably want to add like a add friend icon to this button and the canonical block symbol to the block icon, or to the block button, you know? So to find a icon I want, I'm just gonna go to Font Awesome. Icons. Click on that. We're gonna use the solid only because that's the library we brought in. We brought the FAS, which is the Font Awesome solid library. I'll go ahead and do add and see, hey, look at that. We have user plus. That looks like a good icon, right? And so that's the name of the icon I want. So I go back now. I'm going to go ahead and on my profile, top, do import in the brackets from Font Awesome. Font Awesome. Take that one, right? Yeah. Was it user plus? Didn't give me the right library. Where's my library? Is that it actually? I remember now. I did this before.
Cliff, I think it should be Font Awesome icon.
That one yours, the other one.
Hold on.
The other one.
Oh, wait, there it is. No, common types, solid SVG icons. There it is. I don't know why that wasn't
No.
loading that. Plus FA user plus. There it is. FA user plus, and then yes, we also need to bring in the actual. I don't think that's the component. I don't think that's a component, is it? We'll find out actually. No, let's find out. No, it's not, because it's not the F there. That is just the const icon definition. Now it's going to do import from Font Awesome, React Font Awesome, Awesome icon, and we're going to give it this guy. So Awesome icon down here. Add friend. So now I'm going to do this quick. Enter. Icon equals FA second to remember. It's common. FA, why is it not loading it though? FA user. Plus, there we go. Should be, oops, not that. Slash. There we go. Save that one. It should work correctly. That's the simplest way of doing it. And there it is.
There it is. Yay.
Sticks it in there at the size that it can fit. It tries to squeeze it in. And so we have FA user plus. Let's go ahead and take a look for a block symbol now. Let's try using block. Let's see if that actually pulls something up. We have the slash here. We have this one. That's not bad. We can use that. Any other ideas for something we can search for? Or do we like ban? Let's think of something else though. Let's at least try one more. We have ban. We can use ban. What else? We try.
I like door closed.
Okay.
No, it's on the bottom there. When you did the other one, it was there. When you did the when you did block, it was like door closed.
I was thinking of another searchable term we could use.
User lock?
There's a user lock one there.
There's a user lock one.
What? Oh. If you like that one, we could do that. I would say
But,
that's probably not the thing, 'cause that tends to usually mean secure the user in most cases. So in the technical realm, especially since we're making a developer site, seeing a lock on something usually means we're going to secure it.
Oh, so, well, type in user and see what the user has. I wonder if there's a little thing with the little.
We have user times right there. We also have user slash. So we have
User-
user times,
user
user
ninja.
slash.
Yeah, I like the
What?
user ninja. I like the user ninja.
There you go. We have user ninja and user nurse. Random
User
honest.
injured.
Yeah. Where what?
Uh,
Oh.
User injured.
There's one for a blocking.
That's a good one.
I don't think we're being violent to the poor person, but we got user slash, we got user times, user
What's the difference
minus.
between the alt slash and the slash?
Well,
You got slash and then look down, alt slash.
don't know.
You look the same. I
It's
like the
probably different,
alien.
but I don't know what it is.
Like the alien, but you can't use it.
Oh, we can pay for it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
got VR head.
I
Nice.
figured they might have had a the
This
no
one
symbol
right
on
here.
on the user, like the
Which
little
one?
like
Sorry, I
You
missed it.
should
Go
use,
ahead.
you should use this one right here for pending.
Ending.
yeah pending.
There you go.
I thought they would have like a no the little band symbol on top of a user being like blocked.
We'll probably use this one when we actually are friends with them. I did like that one, user check. So
Yeah.
that's probably good for our friends. So here we go, final call. Let's see what people say. So you got user times, user slash, user minus, and user injured, I guess. Even though I'm regretting saying that because I think I know what's gonna happen now. What are we thinking?
Flash.
I like slash.
Slash? Oh, thank God. Slash, okay, thank you. So use a slash. Let's go back to our code up to the top. On right here, we're gonna go ahead and do comma, FA, user, slash. There it is. I'm just gonna go ahead and take the one we just put in and copy it. Then hit a block. Paste it in and just switch it over to user slash. Save that. Let's pop over to our code again. And there you go.
Nice.
The most basic way to get icons into there. And that's one of the main reasons why I do like Font Awesome. It makes adding icons to your application, which makes them very modern, very quick and very easy. One last thing you can do, well, we actually have a space there. You can, of course, add some padding to this if you need to. Add another, you can't add more than one space, just be aware of, because HTML doesn't really care about empty space. You'll see if I add those two spaces, didn't change. So do be aware of that. Adding multiple spaces will not make a difference. You would have to add like a span tag or something and add some padding in there. You could even add some padding to this. You can change the sizes using this as well. This uses the font size though. So just be aware that Font Awesome uses font size for its size. So you can also just change by changing the font size here. Let's say 25 px. Nice and big, just to get an example. You'll see that the text and the font increases. So as you increase the font size, the icon will go with it because the icons, Font Awesome uses font size to dictate its size.
So it scales regardless of what size you put in.
Yes and no, because of course you can override it. If I give this its own font size, it will not use this font size, but yes, it will mimic the font size of the parent class. Whatever the parent class has for its font size, it will use unless you give it its own font size. So if I do get rid of this and do instead of here, style size, yes, and color. see that it actually gets its own size increase and the color changes. So it increases based on the font size of its parent element. But yeah, if you increase the font size anywhere, it will increase with the font as well, unless you give it its own font size, then it'll increase on its own. You can also, of course, give it any sort of like relative data here. So of course you can do like a 1.2 EM saying, hey, based on the font size of my containing element, so the font size of the button tag that I'm in, I want to be a little bit bigger than the font there. This will make it a little bit bigger. And when I do that, let's go ahead and do a bunch of 1.5 quick. So you see it's a little bit bigger. It's about half the size bigger. And so then if I do again over here, size, we'll do 25px again. You'll see that it will scale and be still a little bit bigger than the font itself. So there's a lot you can do with it. It's really cool because it's treated like a font, not an image, which is really nice about font awesome icons versus using images. So,
Aren't images supposed to be on the left-hand side of the button for standard?
that's what you commonly see. I have seen it a lot, but I just want to put it there, I guess. Again, your site, you do what you want. I do know that, yeah, most people will put like icons on the left. Do that actually, left and right. There we go. Looks a little fancier. We'll do left and right. Right now they don't do anything, so we'll have to add some code there next. Again, we'll add some quick lorem ipsum text here and some friends. Yeah, we really have one day, so I won't give the challenge to have you guys try to do that. But keep working on your projects then. So that way on Thursday we can have a really good discussion about it, and you can see that way again. I do want you guys still working on your projects for Thursday because I'm going to be asking you about your project. So make sure your project is thought out enough that you can answer my questions and stuff. I do want to make sure I'm making your project. So I'm going to try to make, I'm hoping that my entities will match most of yours because you explained your project well. So make sure, one thing I'll say is make sure your entities, your models and stuff, they make sense, right? Because I'm going to start throwing out entities, and if I start throwing out entities that are completely different than yours, that shouldn't be a sign to you saying that you did yours wrong. You might also want to consider, did I explain my project correct? All right, so always be aware of that. So make sure you understand how to describe it. If you do decide to submit yourself, make sure you have a 5-minute pitch. You want to stick more to 3 minutes, but you have up to 5. So practice a 2 to 3 minute pitch. Do not practice a 5-minute pitch, because if you practice a 5-minute pitch, it will take you 15 minutes to tell me. Make it about 2 to 3 minutes. All right. Sound good? All right. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Any questions
night,
on
guys.
this? All good. All right. I'll see you all tomorrow.
Could just use the push
Yes,
and the video when you can.
of course. All right, data pushed, and as soon as we end the meeting, I'll be able to add the code or upload the video.
Sounds great. Thank you. Have a good night.
Have
a good night,
everybody.
Have a good night.
So, Cliff,
I'm here.
I was just looking at the AWS. I'm looking at OpenShift on AWS because I was just wanted to like maybe poke at it or something.
Yeah.
And just looking at it, but it tells me that it's going to cost 3 cents an hour, and a worker node is 17 cents per floor versus vCPU.
No free tier at all, huh?
And yeah, it doesn't say that at all. I can enable it, but it says 3 cents an hour for the control plane, and then worker node hourly 17 cents. Worker node annually is $1,000. But if I'm only working annually, it's only gonna be 17 cents an hour, or CPU I use. I mean, if it's running, it's 3 cents an hour if it's constantly running. So if I'm not running it, I'm not getting any charge for it.
One second.
Yeah, I logged, yeah, oh, yeah, I logged in and said, and, yeah.
I'm looking at that a little more because I just thought it was still within the free tier.
Oops.
You don't have to use the stupid.
Do you have, that's that pricing, but, I got a different screen than yours on that.
Also, one second.